Do a good old call to order here for our meeting. So what do we do? Roll call? Aaron's here.
I'm here. Rosanna.
Marty's here.
Patrick's here, and online looks like Daryl is here.
Go Cougs, Daryl's here.
Sit on your face.
I couldn't.
Look like Santa Claus.
When I first got back from the hospital, I didn't have the energy to stand up and brush my teeth, much less shave. So I haven't gotten around to it yet. I haven't been anywhere, so nobody sees it.
You look good. Leave it.
See you, Daryl. That's great.
Thanks.
It fits.
All right, can we have an approval of the meeting agenda?
I move that we accept the agenda.
Second.
Move in a second.
Second.
Great. Next is public communications. Radio board is providing opportunities for public comments by submitting written comments to the city clerk.
You have to approve the minutes.
Oh, just a minute. Oh, sorry about that. I approve it.
I mean, you have to ask if they.
Oh, I thought I just did. Sorry. Can I have an
How's
approval?
the agenda?
The agenda.
How's the agenda? Oh, my bad, my bad. Oh, it's not in my little thing here. Can we get approval of the minutes, please? Approval of the minutes, everybody?
I make a motion to approve the minutes. Everybody's read them. Okay.
Now we'll go ahead and allow for public communication. We have one person here in person. We have one online. Don, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Don.
Oh, hi, good morning. I just have a question, an observation that the last few city council meetings, when I watched the city's presentation, not the one that is done elsewhere, but the one that is done by Sarah, 7 or 8 times, my screen just freezes for maybe 10 seconds or so. And if I wait, it pops back on again with no loss of content. In other words, it's just buffering. I don't lose anything. Is that something that is that the radio, the TV station sees with their recordings, or is it just unique to what the city has doing? It happens. I'd say the last 3 or 4 council meetings very consistently. Thank you.
It's the Wi-Fi. Because we don't have a good connection to the Wi-Fi there. And so it'll buffer on our end as well, Dawn.
That's for city.
That was
council.
comment.
Yeah.
Right. All right, I'll make a note that.
So is the KOSW recording also the same thing? If I compared, I make a note of my minutes or my notes where it happens. Would I see the same thing on the KOSW recording? And also notice the last council meeting, the first 5 or 10 minutes of the meeting was not recorded. Thank you.
Right, and Don, the KOSW's feed uses a hotspot that's separate from the Wi-Fi available in the convention center. So it may be subject to different conditions of buffering, but it probably is not coincidental to any buffering that might be occurring.
He's referring to his live Zoom
Right.
feed that he's on.
Right, but if he were listening to KOSW, also do you want to mention about the beginning of the last one?
Don, beginning of the last one is a user error. It wasn't anything, we were doing some work underneath underneath our table, trying to get some equipment to work, and then we accidentally disconnected something. And it took Trey about 10-15 minutes to figure out what was wrong, and he finally got it connected. But that was on our end.
Okay, well, thank you. I also noticed that the city has not posted that on their what's called the AV meeting site. That last council meeting is not posted, so I've asked for a copy of it. Hasn't been posted yet.
Hey, let me add too, one thing on KOSW, and Marty mentioned a hotspot, and that's a telephone link, basically. It's a data line So it's different than the internet at the convention center. Just want to clear that up.
Yeah, well, when I get some time, since I marked where it was, I'll take a listen to the KOSW. I mean, what's it called? The AV, the city's recording, but it was not posted for the last council meeting, and see if it's on that also. It probably will be. Okay, well, thanks a lot.
Great, thank you, Don. I'll make sure to take a note tonight from the council, see how it goes on that. Anybody else for public communication? All right, no, moving on, back, reports. I'm going to do the chair report for myself. I'll talk a little bit more about this and some new business as far as the budget, but basically myself and Marty and Butch got together for a budget request for 2024-25 and looked over what we spent and really got into the details of it, which was great. And so I didn't find any discrepancies. Everything looked pretty good, and used those numbers to really forecast for our budget. And I'll get to that in any business. So I had to do that in front of the city council, which is one thing that it's hard for me to talk in front of people sometimes, getting used to it. So, but it was great, and the city council was great too. So that's really all I have for my report. Like I said, I'll talk a little more in the new business, just to get the details of what we're asking for. I guess moving on, we'll do station report with Butch.
I got a bunch of figures here from North Beach Independent Media and KOSW, but I want me to wait for the budget part on that? Or do you want me to talk about it now?
Either, if you want, maybe just a quick overview now, we get the details there.
Okay, the quick overview is North Beach Independent Media brought in to date about $10,970.50. KOSW has brought in $8,250. The total that we brought in this year so far, $19,470.50. North Beach Independent Media has purchased, now this ain't quite down to the cents because I haven't added the new phone on to it. I guessed about $250 for the phone system. But we have purchased $7,211 so far out of North Beach Independent Media to KOSW for different equipment and stuff like that. So what we're giving back to the city to date so far is $12,509.15. So we're really over the track of that 25,000. Basically, if you add the money that NIMBM has, that's $19,000, which is, we were talking in that budget, at least $12,500 a year, which makes $25,000 a year. So we've been way over that. And last year, I don't have the right figures for that, but the guesstimate between 16 and 17,000 we gave the city last year. So we're way over the 25,000 that we should have done. We have a new disc jockey. She just signed up. I'm waiting to get the background check from her, but that's Jean Collins. This sounds like Jean, the way she spells it, but she's French from Louisiana, and it's Jean. So I've only met her once. She filled out the paperwork and wait for that to get back. But that will give us about over a third of our DJs in will be female, which is a strategy we've been trying to do for a long time. We were really short on female disc jockeys for a long time. Now we're getting up there, so that's good. We bought a new phone system for the station. We even got a recorder, so now we can actually record phone calls. Like we want to do an interview, we can record the interview ahead of time, edit out all the ums and ahs and all the pauses out of it, and then replay it during your show of the interview. So it'd be a good interview. Now that doesn't mean it's required they do that. They can still do live if they want, but when you get live, you get a lot of chit chat stuff that goes on that probably you don't need to have. But I'm going to kind of push a little bit. If you want to do it ahead of time so you can get it out there, you can really clean it up and be a really good interview that way. So
May I interject?
yeah.
It also puts a beginning and end point to the interview.
Yes, right.
When it's recorded and edited. So you don't, you know, if you're just doing a stream of consciousness discussion, it could go on for a long time.
Oh,
Lose track.
good example of that is Sunday morning. Lon did an interview with Marcus Ray of the band War. It went on for about 2 hours, way too long for an interview over the radio. And it was a lot of chit chat, not so much it was asking question, get answers about things. It was more of a, almost like talking to my buddy on the phone almost as it got to be. So I'll talk to Lon about that, but that would help clear that up if we could do that, right? Also, we got the shed insulated up there at the tower, which is pretty nice. Got it all out of our shed and got it up there and got it installed. So I left us a lot more room at our storage shed there at the station. That's all I got.
Great, thank you, Butch. Technology report with Marty.
Yeah, thanks. So nothing really in the global sense of technology that's impacting radio right now. Except that I believe not sure if it's passed Congress or not yet, but the FCC did process and request permission to demand that going forward, vehicles will continue to have AM radios installed. There was a big move by the automotive industry, particularly, and we've talked about it here before, particularly related to electric vehicles that have trouble because the electronic guts in the car can generate interference to the reception of AM radio. And so they were very excited to embrace that. And I don't know that the fight is completely over, but the National Association of Broadcasters came to the defense of the radio industry and put forth a really good argument. And it looks like it's either passed or poised to pass. So that's kind of an exciting bit of news. The only other thing I have is, can't remember if it was Tuesday or Wednesday when we had the equipment failure. Maybe it was a little later in the week last week.
Monday night. It was Monday, last Monday. That was during my show that all that started happening.
That was all before we did the installation project. That was what I was trying to use as a
Yeah.
benchmark. Okay, so last Monday.
There was one before Kai's show. Where it was dead air for,
Oh, well, that was a different problem.
That was a
That was an automated, that was an operator error on the overnight person, or the person who was last in, set the automation in a weird mode, and then it wasn't responsive in the morning, and all sorts of strange things happened. Then we also had a problem just before, or at the beginning of the ball game, right? The football game. So, but those are, again, people becoming familiar with the operation of equipment, and we do have quite a few new people, and settings are important. So we need to follow the instructions on how you do a setup on it. And then things suddenly began working just.
Both of those were user issues.
Yeah, more often than not. Yeah.
And I was gonna ask you, we still, on the monitor and on the headphones, you put air, we still are missing a channel.
Yeah, that's from that receiver.
Yeah.
I'll try to get that swapped out.
And over the air, I guess we're okay over the air?
Oh, yeah. Over the air internet.
Had anybody call me and say, hey, you only got one channel
Right. And so what led to that only having one channel at a time was it's one of those things that happens in all life experiences. You're convinced and you know that you have one problem. But turns out there were two problems, and they exacerbated one another in the troubleshooting process, because there's an old audio processor that we've had online since probably the beginning of KOSW LP. And it's a very nice little audio processor that kind of rides gain on the modulation, very easy. But the main thing it does, it was made at the original time to limit peak so that it didn't overload the transmitting device. Well, all of our new equipment has that built in. So this was an additional peak limiter that was in the system. Didn't hurt anything, and it was transparent in that regard. But one of the channels failed in it. And in the troubleshooting, we also found that one of the channels in the FM tuner that we're using at the station for on-air, off-air monitoring, also had a failure of that channel. So it became a real troubleshooting challenge, but we got it all squared up. That unit, the audio processor has been bypassed completely. It's unplugged and not in the circuit anymore, so we shouldn't have any more problems with that. I did make some adjustments to the audio processing, so the station should sound louder on the dial.
Nice.
A little more punch to it.
Get those subs turned up, you know.
Yeah, and so I'm always looking for feedback from listeners. If anybody has any comments that it sounds good or sounds bad, but I have noticed that the stereo separation is really good now. And I think that we had a little bit of a stereo separation. Wasn't a real problem, but there were certain things where you know that some Beatles songs and some other songs that have real distinct left and right channels didn't quite have the punch that it used to. Well, it was apparently that limiter, as it was going to fail, it was going into kind of a soft failure mode. So now with that out of there, boy, when there's a voice only on one channel, you get that voice only on.
This just a couple days ago, that was.
Yeah, within the week, yeah. So anyway, so that's kind of a snapshot of what's going on in technology here.
All right, next, Council Liaison reports.
Yeah, well, you did not seem nervous. You sounded just wonderful at the council meeting. Thank you for the budget presentation, and it really added the fact that you mentioned that the three of you had gotten together and looked at past expenses. I think that adds some, validity to the figures that you came up with. Other than that, I think, I don't know, Marty, if you have any update on the contract that council had voted down.
No, I don't have any.
Oh. Okay.
Well, let me ask, which contract?
It was, I believe it was for the tower that they were looking at. What was it, a 10-year lease?
Oh, yeah, but that, they already, it's been signed on behalf of the city council by Scott. And that was executed back in June or July of last year.
Okay, but then
That's a 3-year.
Okay, but you came in and you brought something to the city council. It was, what was it, just 2 or 3 council meetings? And it was,
Us renting out the tower on the public works here.
Oh, yes, with Scott. You mean.
Yes.
Oh, okay, yes, right, so, unfortunately, and that's why I say I have to leave in about a half an hour. Scott and I were going to have a meeting this afternoon, but I have to go to Olympia today, so we're gonna skip that meeting. But I believe he wanted to discuss what progress he has made in either contacting the applicant, the Crown Castle, as part of
yeah, very
T-Mobile or
long,
something
yeah,
like that, or AT&T.
complicated.
Yeah, the name structure is goofy, but yes. So I have not spoken with him about it subsequent to that, but he has some information. So I don't know if he'll present that tonight or not, but perhaps.
Okay, next financials. Main thing, and you'll notice, this is what we always get every month. It's our summer report, and we're like, oh, okay, but it's like, what goes in here? What was really nice that for myself, and auditing kind of these accounts is, you'll notice there's another page in here now. So I have Nicole, hopefully moving forward, we'll have this provide to us. And these are the accounts that go into these accounts here. So this is for last month. You can see basically what they spent, and then now I have some detail, a little bit better insight, transparency. So, and so that's where, going back to the past year and a half, I went just to see, what goes into these numbers and stuff. And again, there wasn't anything weird. It's just the only thing was sometimes things would get bought and it would say US Bank, because they would use a, bank card, which is fine, it'd be Sarah's or whoever, Scott's or, card to purchase something. But then they wouldn't go in and change the payee to who they're paying to rather than just the bank card. And so, but still, we can at least now see. So here's, a little more detail what goes into these. And then, that's the last page is for next year's budget. I'll talk about that. Like, we've got the new business. So as far as financials, I just want to point out, we have a little more detail. So. All righty. Moving on, board member report. Marty, do you have anything separately than before you want to go over?
Well, a couple of things. We did have, just as a heads up, Butch might know the exact amount, but I think it's, I'll just say about $700 bill has come in for the repair, further repair of the 350 watt transmitter that's used for backup over here at the Public Works Yard. And one of those odd devices where it just sits in the rack almost all the time in a kind of a hot standby mode. And this one is, I'm not sure how old it is before I came to the station, so it's over 8 years old. But it turns out that although many of us feel it pleasant and refreshing, the salt marine air here took its toll on circuit board printed circuits and ate up a whole bunch of the circuitry. So they had to replace a card and clean up some other stuff. And they said they got it all cleaned up and returned, and it's ready to come back. So Sarah's been notified about it, and so she'll arrange to pay the bill, and then it'll get shipped to his office. Yeah.
Doing the repairs and maintenance and probably.
Yes, exactly. And in round numbers, it's about $700.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think we requested 2,000 or 1,000 a year.
Yeah, just as some placeholder for that.
Cool.
A couple of things that I'd like to toss out. These are more operational relative to the station, but I wanted to let people know of what I'm thinking of. What the heck? We still have the responsibility for the proper top of the hour station IDs, and those still need to get cleaned up. I think we might have actually one on the air that is 100% legit. The rest of them are the old style where the call letters are KOSW FM, not KOSW Ocean Shores FM 88.9 or anything else. It's KOSW FM Ocean Shores. That's the shortest, most concise and proper station ID that you can issue here. We need to clean that up so that it does flow that way. And I know it's something that Trey is working on. But in the meantime, I would recommend that we at least get one or two of your talent voices on to just.
Talent voices.
Well, your voice, like your voice, when you're in your talent mode as opposed to your management mode, that just cut an ID, and you can dress it up whatever you want, but just make sure it's the proper legal ID.
That was $686.59.
There you go. Perfect. Thank you. The other thing is we need to be thoughtful and aware that when we're doing a remote broadcast, regardless of whether it is city council meetings or work projects with the city or sports, around the top of the hour, they've got to identify the station with the proper call letters. A lot of times it slops, it's missed. We just need to make sure that somebody's watching the clock, and it can either be done at the studio end by fading, if there's a studio operator there, fading down the incoming sports program for KOSW FM Ocean Shores and then pot it back up. That's all you need to do. We just need to start drilling that into people's heads. I think that's really an important aspect of the operation.
Marty, excuse me. So KOSW FM 88. That's what you want.
That's legit. You can doctor the words as long as you say KOSW FM. You can follow it with, the ideal is just simply follow it with the city of license.
Okay.
So that's the simplest one. If you want to doctor it up a little bit, the FCC gives a little bit of wiggle room. You can put in the frequency. You can put in the owner. So you could say KOSW FM, owned by the city of Ocean Shores. Well, there you've just ID'd it also, but the identifying as ownership, but you can't put in little
The
taglines.
shortest
like-
you said was KOSW FM Ocean Shores.
That's,
That's locked. But if you want to put in 88.9 between the FM and Ocean Shores,
Sure.
that's legit. Just don't put anything else.
Well,
The sound of.
we gotta redo it, mainly because we have to do a 30-second slot, because it goes in front of CBS News. So long as they say KOSW FM, Ocean Shores, Washington, frequency at 88.9, something to make it go for 30 seconds. But you gotta get those first three things in there right off the top, and the rest can do whatever you want with it.
You can buffer it with some music, you know,
Right.
you can put in some instrumental music, so when you're bumping up to the top of the hour for the ID, you're not kind of like suddenly fading out of something that's in the speech of a
So
song.
88.9 doesn't necessarily have to be said. Does Ocean Shores have to be
Yes.
said?
Right,
Okay, so it is KOSW FM Ocean Shores, and then what?
whatever you wanna do after that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
all right, thank
Okay,
you.
cool. So that one's great. I'd like to suggest additional tide reports. Rather than
Yeah,
just
me
like
too.
twice in the day, maybe 3 times.
I'm pulling teeth for that, you know.
Sam,
You say?
I'm pulling teeth for that.
Oh, it's okay. I did have a chat with Trey and he said, well, you know, and I can understand his and have an appreciation for this. Well, there's usually a morning tide and an afternoon tide, and it's kind of dumb to mention the morning tide if it's afternoon. I said, so do 2 tide reports a day, the morning tide report and an
No.
afternoon evening
I
tide.
told him, do the whole tide report. People know when it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, they're gonna ignore the morning tide, right? And look for the afternoon tide. If you're in the morning and you wanna know what the afternoon tide is, you gotta wait till 2 o'clock to get the afternoon tide.
Right, so if,
Yeah.
whatever he wants to do, let's just, I'd like to see it, especially since we're trying to attract
Yeah.
folks that are not from here, but inform them as to the hazards and challenges.
Especially on
of being on
weekends,
the beach.
Fridays, people are coming in town.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome to Ocean Shores. Here's the tides, here's what to do.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe you.
I add them in my.
I would just like to see it increased. I don't know what the magic number is, if it's every hour, or every 2 hours, or,
It's a piece of cake. If you just do it and put it with the weather forecast, it's no big deal.
there you go.
We've got stuff we talk about driving on the beach.
Yeah.
Making sure you don't drive on the clam beds and the soft sand and the sugar sand and all that good stuff. But people just are ignorant to riptides.
Yeah.
They're very ignorant to riptides. They don't get it. And it's very easy to see a riptide when you're out there. When the water is going this way.
Yeah. Yeah, and, you know, we could use the Coast Guard's, recommendations for how to react if you happen to be caught in a riptide, you know. Don't try to swim towards the beach, parallel to the beach, I believe is the proper technique. Yeah, so, which is kind of counterintuitive, but, yeah, it can make a life's difference. Another thought, we've had a couple of times, in our family, since, my wife's been doing the morning show, where if the computer in the control room gets restarted because of a Windows update or something like that, it stops at the logon screen. Because you have to enter a password. I've been thinking about it for a bit and tried through some, and when the thing reboots, it bypasses the logon screen. We can also put it so that it automatically, in an auto load mode, puts Zara up on the screen. It can load any other background programs like Butt and other things we want to do, so that basically, if somebody hits the reset button on the machine, or if it does it by itself because of Windows, the thing's going to basically come back up ready for an operator to do something. They don't have to take the time to hunt on the screen for where the
Are you ready to
icon
go
is.
for like the remote desktop session too? Someone remote desktop, someone remotely can
Yeah.
access the computer.
Well, we have that stuff for several of the.
No, I hear what you're saying though. Okay,
Yeah.
so
So this would just speed things up in recovery mode, basically, and it would be much closer to ready to go. And if we
Yeah.
really wanted to get tricky, we could get in and set some scripts up so that not only does it open Zara, but we could have it automatically open it up in a fully functional operating mode.
Is there any way that that can be done when a DJ isn't on air or when no one is or during at early morning or something like that?
Well, you mean like the
instead of-
Windows updates? Those are a
Yeah.
challenge because it's typically Tuesday night overnight, but sometimes it's a different day and different time and you just don't know when that's
Happens a
gonna hit.
lot.
You can delay it. We've tried, and unfortunately, in most of the Windows products that we've have in use at the station, you cannot completely force it to ignore a Windows update, which would be desirable because a lot of people don't like what happens, not only because the update is new and probably going to change something else, but because you go through this short-term lockup mode, basically, where the machine's just not even going to be functional.
Well, I asked Trey a few times what to do when that comes up and he said, hit snooze. And
Yeah,
that kind of works.
right.
That
Yeah.
works.
It would save me some phone calls.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a thought I appreciate if you guys could consider that. And then I've got one more that I've been thinking about a lot. And by the way, Trey had mentioned a couple of things. First of all, while we were concerned about having the passwords, somebody comes in and gets into the on-air machine. Well, we post the password. It's in a book. You know, if somebody really wanted to come in and tear things up, they could find an operating book and go, oh, here's the passwords. So we're
your security is
it's
a
kind of silly. We could even put it right on the screen and that would be fun.
One of the
So,
phones.
just kind of a thought on that. And then the other one is it's going to take a little bit of training, both on the side of the users as well as the DJ. And when I say the users, I mean Trey and Butch, if this is something that can be accepted, to actually do conventional DJ tracking, voice tracking. So that, because it's similar to a podcast, but in a podcast, as I believe most of them do, is they actually record not only their intro and their voice, they play the song. That's recorded. So you get a 2-hour show that is all the music, all the
file.
yeah, it's a big file, that's not the problem. But one of the things that happens is the artist title information is not extracted out of that big file because the way our system, it only grabs the actual music file itself. In a voice track mode, what you do is you sit down at the computer and you have your show laid out. You know, you think about what songs you're going to be playing and you record an announcement for it, you title it, so it's the intro for this, and then you write what song you're going to use. And then so when you go over to do the setup on this actually on the PC, that's exactly what you do. You take your pre-recorded audio and you drop it into the playlist and or over where the commercials are, whichever group or sponsorships are listed and all of that. And so the machine when your shift starts, it plays your intro. The song that you've selected for next play, pulls it up out of the library, you know, plays that. Play 2-3 songs, do your announcement again. And it would involve giving more information to the listener because it would have all the ID. And if the person wants to do this a week in advance of their show, they can pre-can a whole week's worth of their shows.
You have to make sure the music's in the library though, right?
Well, yeah, but that's what, you know, they would select that when they're doing their show. So they're doing a regular show. I have a feeling that the pushback on that would be, but the inorganic aspect of being a DJ and picking your own music on the fly, because that one inspired you to pick something else that didn't inspire you if you were doing a voice tracked show. So I can understand it. It's something to talk more about, but I think it's something we should hold out there as an opportunity for improving the sound of the station and the flexibility for the operators. Because, like I say, I mean, you could sit down, and a lot of DJs in other markets do this constantly, and they'll do, like I was just up in Seattle yesterday, and inspecting some FM stations. And what they do, they have DJs who cover Sacramento stations, Seattle stations, Portland stations, Kansas City. So when I sit down and I do my voice tracking, I'm doing different voice tracking potentially for 3 or 4 different markets. And you can do that in a 2-hour shift, no problem. Because you're not actually playing the music. You're just putting that.
You don't have to
tag
change
in
every
the
single
music.
track.
So you're not waiting for all that to go by.
Just some regional tracks, the rest you can use the same stuff over and over.
Right, and they'll send you a list of what songs they want to have played during their, but that doesn't apply here, of course. So I just see some opportunities for.
So you're saying the DJ wouldn't be there live?
They could be, but they don't have to be.
I thought one of the things we were talking about the whole time was they wanted live DJs.
Yeah.
And wanted input with people calling in.
Yeah,
asking for
Well, we don't
songs.
take calls.
but we take calls.
They do.
Well,
They're planning.
okay, all right.
That's in their old
Yeah.
business. We'll talk about life.
Okay. Well, regardless, that's a factor. If you have a show that you want to take calls in and you expect that there's going to be public feedback coming to you, then don't do a voice track show. But if you've got a show that you go, well, Randall? No,
Randall.
Randall. Yeah, his show is canned, right?
No,
Well, it's not anymore. Oh, I thought he was doing.
oh, he does it remotely, but it's not, I can't.
Oh, I see. Okay.
The only,
So he
the
can't take calls because he's not there.
only can show we really have for music show is Jesse.
Oh, yeah, Jesse.
Mixtape, and that's really kind of like a podcast.
Yeah.
She sends her list into Trey and he just dumps it. Every song she has, she sends him a list of the 4 things that need to be done on that thing, and he enters it physically into Sound Exchange.
Okay, so that's what I'm trying to avoid, is having to have Trey do stuff for somebody else.
Yeah, same time we
It
need.
becomes a little time consuming, plus he has to search for the music, and if we don't have it,
It's,
There's so much music out there that we're not playing, possibly because it's not in the library. We need to make sure to have that flexibility to enter it.
one of the things that we require them to do is give the temperature and time. Reason that is, and you know they're live. When you say it's 1/4 the hour, you know it's not live. It's somewhere from, they're in Denver or syndicated someplace, or they never give the temperature because they don't know what the temperature is. And they're doing it to several other stations across the country.
And there's like 2 sides too, because I know someone who is down on DJs when it is canned. That I've heard out there because they prefer live. And so because we are personal to everyone live out there. And if it sounds canned, they turn the station. In other words, why are you a DJ if you're not even there? So I hear that kind of feedback out there.
That's
too.
like,
We've been working,
alternative.
Yeah,
we've been working real hard to get most of the robot lists off during the day. In fact, very few robot lists are playing now. Monday still, because we've still got Andy still out, and I'm using it for training for new DJs during that time. Got a couple of them, like on Thursday, Jacob, he doesn't want to do a 3-hour show. So I have an hour between 5 and 6 o'clock I gotta fill because the next show is at 6 o'clock. We try to increase everybody's show so they went back to back to back, but sometimes that doesn't work. But I'm thinking about now is moving Jesse to Thursday in that hour. And then give Damon 3 hours instead of 2 hours. That would fill up the whole Friday. And Jesse's almost like having a DJ there because he's talking all the time, introducing songs. So it's not like just a robot list playing.
Right, well, again, it was just a thought project to throw out as to providing an alternative or an option for DJ.
I don't know if this is true, but I think a lot of that canned music, and I've heard it too, is commercial? Would it have any, DJs who get paid?
Yeah.
You know, is it because they don't have to pay them? Does that have anything to do with it? But I think a lot of that it comes from. I don't know. But I've heard it canned where no one's there. It's all canned and it's just so completely different than us.
A lot, some of your Aberdeen stations are that way.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yep.
They're syndicated shows.
Some are syndicated, even the local ones that do voice tracking. It happens.
Oh, yeah.
I was just trying to illustrate an option. I don't know if it fits. It doesn't
Well-
sound like it fits, but it might have an option.
If we had to pay all the DJs, we'd probably go that route because we wouldn't have we'd pay down about 6 DJs instead of 20, right? I mean, the only reason we have so many is because it's all volunteered. Sure, we could be all automated. I mean, we could turn the whole station automated if they wanted to. I mean,
But that's counterproductive.
Yeah.
To what the intention is, right? Okay, well, that's
Anything
great.
else, Marty?
I think I'd better shut up. I've got to get out of here.
All right, Daryl, you're up. You got anything?
Yeah, a couple of things. As you guys know, we do simulcast a lot of KOSW stuff and the morning show in particular, and the midday shows and some on the weekends. And on all of those shows at 59:45, we break away from the simulcast and run a local TV ID, and then we come back at the top of the hour. So 15 seconds before there's a North Beach TV ID, we bust away from the simulcast. Basically, I think about 57:45 for other local stuff. So if an interview or if someone's playing a song, TV is gone in the simulcast, run the local spots, local PSAs, and then a local ID. Then we come back to pick up with the news. We also simulcast the city council meetings, and that one I did not break away for local. So we simulcast on Tuesday nights. Tonight will be a live simulcast. This is an experimental thing that we're doing, and we're picking up the sound like we do for the regular radio shows off of an FM tuner that's at the TV station. So it's whatever goes out over the broadcast radio is what goes on the simulcast. But we are experimenting. So the experimenting part, excuse me, the experimenting part is not part of our real contract with the city of what to do. We're experimenting going live with video to YouTube, and that's being a success. So at some point, we'll probably tell Frank to announce that at the meeting that we're simulcasting the KOSW feed on channel 68 live, and then on alternate weeks. Then we're also live streaming to YouTube, and on alternate weeks we play back the file on Tuesday night. So we got to change the schedule every week for that. Same thing with the Hayek football games. So far we simulcast the first 2 games that they've done, or they've been 2 games that they've broadcast. And we also do an ID at the top of every hour on those. And so we do break away, and it's about a 30-second break. And the last game, the last game was a Saturday game, I think. We busted away, and there was some action going on, but we came back anyway. So it's automated, so I've got no control over that once it's all set up. Also, on the horizon, I've been invited to once again participate at North Beach High School's Continuing Technical Education Advisory Board, and that's a chance for people that want to be budding journalists or board ops for the radio station, news reporters, or the sports person to go through Harbor. Is it Harbor Works? Maybe there's a way if they're a high school student, they can get paid for the activity. And so that meeting, the first one will be October 8th for the next year, and we're looking for some high school kids to train them on TV stuff and or radio. So we'll see what happens there. And they have these meetings about once every quarter or so with high school. It also deals with kids that want to get into culinary arts, your shop classes, your automotive things. So it's more of the technical field. So continuing technical education. That's it. Any questions?
I haven't sent mine. I gotta let, what's it, Carrie know that I'm gonna be there on the 8th. I haven't responded to her yet, but we're gonna get involved in the CTE program too.
Yeah, me either. I haven't sent back to them yet.
Great, thanks, Daryl. Next
you.
up, Rosanna.
No report.
Alrighty, Marilyn.
I had one thing. The game's being announced by the station with Jerry and Noah and Mandy, or is it?
Addison.
Addison. They're fantastic.
Especially Madison.
They sound like a real NFL game
Yeah.
going on. And I was just curious, when it's a home game and the other team is here, are you guys letting the people at the other that we're playing know that they can tune in? Okay, just curious about that.
Yeah, Jerry sends an email off to them, I believe, to the opposing coach, and so they're pretty much aware of it.
Okay,
Yeah, he tries to get interviews from the
Yeah.
opposing coaches and.
I have one
Pretty busy
suggestion. That
man.
He gives the score more often. I had to listen to almost a full quarter. He gave the score, but it was just like 10-12, and I'm going, well, who's ahead? So he needs to say what team is really ahead and give the score more often.
Great, thanks, Marilyn. Myself, I don't have anything else. Get into this in a second. Old business live feedback. This is where last week I was talking about maybe utilizing social media and such, putting something on the screen where, people can, maybe live broadcast, Facebook, the show. I didn't know if that was, anybody tried any of that last month at all, Butch? Did anybody?
No, but I wanted to talk to Daryl and I've got a staff meeting. We're gonna talk a little bit about if a live feed from the station during the simulcast shows. I'd be an option if the DJs wanted to. It'd be better than a slide, right, Daryl? If they had a camera in the studio itself.
Yeah, we have the ability to do that in the future. We've got the hardware, and since I was ill, we haven't progressed on that. But once we get the new hardware, we could possibly stream a camera feed or a combination camera feed and slides. So that's a possibility, but I got to get the new gear running.
No problem. So, yeah, I'll just probably have that drop off. That was just something I wanted to bring up earlier, just to make sure to use, technology out there that's available. Thought maybe we can just get some texts as well. Because we have, a phone system where a lot of times you can have an application you put on the computer with that phone number and send and receive text. That's all I had for live feedback there, so I'll have to get anyone else to talk about it. Maybe just look into try to using it. The listener study, there's the rest of it's out here. Pamphlet on it. I don't have really any other insight other than what you see here. Yes, it's the feedback I'm kind of hearing. It sounds like there aren't a whole lot of people that. The sample size is like what, 50, I think is what we were hearing. 51
So far.
so far, so.
We've been pushing it on the radio a lot.
Yeah. I guess it would be a target that we maybe think might be a goal to try to get to. Is 50 enough, you think?
No,
No,
it's not a very good.
it takes a little time.
Yeah.
All right.
It doesn't cost us anything, is it, Nicole, to keep it up?
Not as far as I know.
So really, it's just a matter of getting in front of more people just to do it.
We keep pushing it. We got
Being pushed.
pre-recorded message that goes out 4 or 5 times a day over the radio during prime time. Hope that, I mean, these results are kind of inconclusive, except everybody loves Roseanne.
And I told my friends, don't say one word about me.
They put your name in.
My kind of survey. So, and I'm not gonna ask and I don't wanna know, so.
The one interesting thing, and it's probably it's not a surprise, the most listened to shows are the morning and the afternoon shows. Yeah, it's not a surprise, really.
Oh, you always said middays.
Is it pushed on Facebook too?
Yeah, it's on Facebook. It's on our website. It's on the city website. And then we push it, and you can't, you can lead the horse to the water, but you can't make the horses drink.
Well, I knew there was issues with the web or something like website. And actually we have in our budget for consulting, I think it is, to professional services. So maybe we can put some money towards getting, a web developer or something like that, because, it sounds like there's someone that can maybe update it, can't really do it now or something, and, I didn't know if we should really find someone seriously to help with.
Well, they can do what they want. They can have my job if they want, and I'm tired of the website. But I think the it's a good website.
Sure.
It's easy to navigate through. It's
Are you able to update as you want it? Cause I
Yeah.
heard that there was, are there issues or not updating the website? I guess maybe I heard wrong.
I'm updating it all the time.
I know there's one part of the website that there's like this I don't, maybe I misheard that a couple of months ago that there were sections of the website that you were unable to update.
Oh, we got those. One was getting the song title on the stream. That's all done. One was getting the day straightened out. They're straightened out. You can go online to buy tickets to our event there. Instead of going to brown paper tickets, you can go right to our website, and we have a site you can either go to, or it's got the QR code. You can scan that and you can go online, get tickets.
You're good to go.
Yeah, we're
Alright.
pretty much.
Good.
I've had a lot of.
Whatever, we have to pay for the repair anyways. So that's, yeah, so let's just study, I guess I was talking about that a little bit. Got the links, I guess we just need to wait and get some more people to sign off or, to do it, so.
Not everybody likes to do surveys.
Yeah. We'll just, I guess, take a look next month then, right?
I mean, I get surveys about 3 times a day to get a free gift.
I did notice though that when the first song comes on with a live DJ and I go to see what it is, it's not recorded. It's still talking about the news.
It's about a 16-second delay.
But
Yeah, it won't show up right away. It's always a delay. It comes on. Oh, all the songs are delayed. I would watch it and then still saying the past song's playing, yet the new song's playing. But you wait about 16 seconds and pop, there it comes up.
You just don't you don't read the first song, period.
Oh, I haven't had that issue. I've seen it
Yeah.
go through the delay. Because nothing's ever perfect in this freaking world.
Okay, so we'll just take a look at that, I guess, next month, let's do a survey. That's it for really old business. New business, I have the budget review here, really just to refer to the spreadsheet in the packet. This is what was presented to the council. Just to, let's have it upside down. Hey, look at that, no, you take more stuff. But the top part is the revenue part, and that's where Butch mentioned earlier in the meeting, this is what I'm pointing out as well, is that we're asking for 106, that's the total. This is taken into account that really we're planning on spending probably 132,000 almost. But with the know-how that, the underwriting that we have, I mean, you hear it all the time, new people on there, so that Butch and the guys are out getting to bring in, so that's the 25 grand, so it's really 12,500 a year is what we're really, counting on them to bring in. And so, as he was saying, I'm really think that's a conservative number. I don't think that'll be, it'll be any problem. So that's what shows up in our
Well-
summary report here, by the way.
Majority of this budget's tower rental.
Absolutely.
Okay, I mean, take the tower rental out of it, it's not very much money.
But hopefully, it's 3 years, I mean, we're committed to that, of course, and we also double check the
Well,
utilities to make sure we're paying the right amount there. And
I can't guarantee we're gonna bring this kind of money every year in, but so
Yeah.
far we've done exceeded the 25,000,
Yeah.
okay? When we did the numbers and racked it up, out of a 3-year rental of the tower, we pay 1 year. It's what about the money comes to. Now, whether the city puts that money we give them towards the tower rental or what they do with it, we don't know. We just give it to them, it goes in general fund and they can do with it what they want. But as far as the money we give them, we pay about 1/3 of the tower rental right now. So that's a pretty good, we've only been in existence for a year and a half. I mean, how many foundations can say that, right? I mean,
Yeah. So just want to point out, that's kind of how this is put together and, you'll see in there kind of how we assume, a lot of these are fixed costs that should stay the same on some of them. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of all I really have on that part of it, I guess. So I guess any questions on how we came about some of these numbers or anything, let me.
Denise, you got any questions?
Yeah, we're gonna include those.
No, but the one thing that did come up was, the in-kind that, North Beach Independent Media does, as well as, purchasing equipment to make sure that that is, accounted for in the budget. I think you heard that too, because that was one of the questions. If you're, donating equipment or, anything like that in terms of, hardware, that there should be some accounting, just so, the city knows that aside from the actual dollars, that there's also additional revenue.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, that one that with the, what was the figure you got? Yeah, Nimbus purchased over $7,000 worth of equipment and stuff and marketing. That includes marketing and equipment. I mean, when we buy banners and that kind of stuff that we do marketing, that comes out of the NIMBM part. And so did 2 computers, a laptop, and other items.
Yeah, so the question is, how is that accounted for here in terms of the budget?
I don't know. As far as I can understand, that's in the 25,000 that they're saying that we're responsible for. Is that right? No? How's it done?
I don't think it's considered in any part of the budget.
Right, I
is
think
what
that,
they were saying.
yeah,
What
so, I mean,
their
there's,
thought was like, get a receipt or something to Sarah when you guys get something, and then it can be a new line item added saying donations from North Beach Independent Media, and they can tally it that way, type of thing.
We have receipts.
yeah, so I think in terms of the new budget going forward for next year, to make sure that everything that North Beach Independent Media contributes, not just the actual dollars, but, the equipment. That
It says
is-
cash receipt on every.
Yeah, that is also included
Yeah.
in the budget,
More
yeah,
itemized and, yeah. Cool.
because you're actually contributing more than is listed here.
Yeah.
It's important for, I think, particularly the city council to know that.
I'll ask them this, how many other volunteer departments you have give you the money back,
Right.
right? So don't nitpick us, you've been nitpicking everybody else, you just pick on us, and we're all volunteers. This is what they would have this budget look like if they had to pay wages, salaries. Huh? Yeah, sell it, yeah.
How long before we find out whether the budget's passed or not?
Yeah, the request amount that we put, I guess, when does that get approved or not?
I don't have it in front of me, but I think it's the beginning of December. Isn't that it, Nicole, where the actual
Budget.
budget is passed?
I'm not sure, probably.
That's.
One of the year.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions on that part?
Beginning of the year as well, just depending on how
Okay.
talks go.
Yeah. Alrighty, to public communication, anybody else, have any, Don, do you have anything else you might want to add? Have another section here for you if you'd like.
No, nothing here, thank you.
Alrighty. Good night. All right, no one else, okay. I guess next. Future meeting date, it should be, last Thursday of October, October 22nd, I believe, it looks like. 10:30 here, and we did actually, renew for next year too, so thanks for having me do that, Nicole. Get a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn this meeting.
All right. For adjourn.